This podcast brought to you by Basecrete, leaders in waterproof bond coatings for the swimming pool and construction industry.
Thanks for agreeing to spend the time with us this morning to discuss Swimply.
My pleasure. Thanks for taking the time to listen.
Basically, the idea of an Airbnb for swimming pools, I think it's a fascinating concept. I've read a lot about what you've been doing. I saw the piece in Shark Tank and Today. And so tell me a little bit more about how you guys first came up with the concept of Swimply.
Sure, gladly. So, we're a marketplace, and there's two sides to every marketplace. There's the host and the guest, right? The buyer, the seller. And that's sort of how Swimply began, from two sides of the marketplace. So you have my co-founder, Bunham, who you may have seen on Shark Tank, and myself. And Bunham was looking for a pool, looking for a way to keep his younger siblings entertained in the hot New Jersey summer. I just bought my first home with a pool. And I was on the other side of the equation, kind of frustrated with all the friends, family, neighbors, long lost relatives who wanted to use my pool. And I had no intention of monetizing it. It never occurred to me, honestly. But I was looking for a scheduling platform, so like sort of like a Calendly, for pools. So I wouldn't have to deal with all the phone calls, texts, and emails. Which cousin or which neighbor is using my pool today, right? And secondly, what I wanted was some sort of liability coverage. I wanted some protection because I knew from a very basic amount of research that I was not going to be covered. And that's it. So we met at a networking event that I had thrown actually here in New York, and I had a pitch competition for best concept. I was giving through one of my businesses. I own a branding agency, and I was offering free branding work. And Bunham, my co-founder, pitched me on the concept, and I thought he was crazy. Ultimately, started to talk and spend time together, and started to really be convinced of the possibility of this working. Did a small test just by going on Google Earth, looking for big blue spots just from the sky, knocked on lots of doors, get kicked out of lots of homes, got a couple pools to sign up in New Jersey. Built a website that wasn't even really very functional. Couldn't make a booking, but you can call us and we were able to get you into a pool. And word spread, and some media attention helped, and it kind of blew up. And within weeks, we had thousands of strangers swimming in strangers' pools. At that point, we realized, okay, we should build a company. And we decided to, first of all, I had to step down from other companies, my other board seats and all that, to focus on this. And I did that. We raised a pre-seed round of capital. And we built out our MVP. The goal was to launch summer of 2019, and soft launch, learn as much as we can from the marketplace. What do people want to see in our product, and then tear it all down, raise another round, and build it for a proper launch 2020. That was our plan. So it sort of happened pretty much like that. So 2019 went really well. That soft launch, we had a tremendous amount of interest. We could only meet maybe 10 to 15% of the demand on the platform. It was just ridiculous. We had so little supply, but it helped set the stage. We learned a lot about what people want, what the people didn't want. We tore everything down and we rebuilt it. The plan was to raise a seed round to cover our launch, a $3 million seed round the first week of March. First week of March came, COVID came, killed that. And we were out of.
I was going to ask you how COVID impacted your
Yeah. So I'll just segue right into that. So what happened was, it turns out that we caught huge tailwinds from COVID. We were offering a truly contactless experience. It was safe. The CDC declared that pools are safe from COVID. It's outdoors, right? Socially distant and all that. And it made sense, and it really was very relevant for the time. And we grew by close to 5,000% year over year, about 4,500% year over year, without spending a penny in marketing. And that quickly attracted venture capital. And from there, we started to grow out our team, and now we're gearing up for our second season, which is pretty exciting. And while COVID was very helpful in terms of the guest side, the swimmer side, it was very unhelpful when it came to the supply side of the
I would
marketplace.
Assume so,
yeah. So at first we lost most of our hosts. They just said, hey, we're not comfortable with this. And then as we educated them, as things started to settle down, they started to come back online. But right. The growth that we experienced was in spite of the fact that we had so few hosts. So just do the math. If we lost 80% of our supply, it still grew by 4,500%. Just imagine what would happen if we didn't lose our supply. So there's clearly what they call a product market fit over here, and we're just sort of filling a need that seems to be pent up already.
Yeah. getting to the homeowner and the host side of things, I mean, it seems like a great side hustle for a homeowner, or a great way to, you know, recoup your or monetize your pool investment. But is there any kind of like special insurance that homeowners have to carry in order to be a host that kind of like negates the profit that they would receive from being a host to begin with?
No, there is no, well, until now, until we came along, there was no insurance product for this. We created one. It took us 2 years. And we had an insurance product that wasn't, you know, as great as what we were hoping for. And now we've got one as of actually last week, we just turned on a $1 million policy. So now we're covering our host completely and at no additional cost. Will that change at some point? Will we start charging for insurance? Possibly, you know, might add on a fee to the bookings at some point, like many other marketplaces do. For this year, though, we are expecting to take a loss on that. And it's just our way of trying to make the entire pool ecosystem a lot safer. And it doesn't exist. I mean, there are tons of people who have guests, you know, friends, or are renting out their pools, you know, offline, and they're not covered. They're just not. And people are not aware of this. So, you know, for us, I'd say the biggest accomplishment we've made so far was getting the insurance industry to back us up. That was the biggest deal. And we just went live April 15th with the new policy.
And that's all covered within the commission structure that you set up on
That's right.
on the rev share.
That's right.
That's interesting.
That's right. So hosts pay 15%. Well, we take a 15%, you know, take rate from the host, and we charge consumers 10%. It's very, very similar to other, you know, marketplaces. The thing that's interesting about what we're doing is that hosts or pool owners don't have to do anything, right? It's not like Airbnb where you're running basically a hotel, right? You need to change the linens. There's a lot of wear and tear on your house, and the paint, and, you know, electricity, all that. Like there's nothing. It's like you go outdoors, you go into the pool, you leave the pool. There's no trace left behind. It's like the pool cleans up more or less after itself. It's called chlorine, and you can't really steal a pool. You know, good luck trying. You can't really break a pool. So it's very seamless. So our host, myself included, by the way, my pool is one of the first ones on the platform. So I know very much firsthand. It doesn't require any effort. And we have hosts that are earning this year will earn 6 figures from their pools. You know, I've earned 5 figures from my pool easily. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
That is very cool. Let me ask you some questions about who is using the app to book pools. Do you find it's more other homeowners that don't have a pool, or is it teenagers, or is there some kind of structure in place to kind of vet who hosts allow to use their property?
Yeah, absolutely. So the first thing is, like all marketplaces, number one, there's built-in, you know, software, you know, vetting software. We do background checks. That's the first thing. Second thing we have for security, for trust and safety, is like every marketplace, we have user-generated reviews, right? So anyone who is not an ideal guest or host is going to be kicked off the platform very quickly. As soon as there's one negative review, they're gone. And we're very, we have a very pristine platform. In early days, you got to be, right? Maybe later on it can be a little bit more relaxed, but at this stage you want to have really tight trust and safety, and to get this thing off the ground. The next thing is that the hosts have 100% total control over their bookings, right? They decide who gets to come to their pool, and if they don't like somebody, they don't want someone, they ain't coming, right? And they can, you know, they can reach out to them, they can talk to them on through the chat platform and just ask them any questions they want. And then lastly, no kids can book a pool. You have to be 21 years old to book a pool. And you know, that's something which we just raised from 18 to 21 actually, which just we felt like would add even a little bit you know, more safe. And then to answer your question, who are the people actually using the platform? It's primarily families, right? So it's like, you know, mom and dad, or a mom with a couple of kids, you know, want to get out. That's the most common usage of our app. After that, we've got a lot of people using it for exercise, a lot of more elderly people looking to do like aquatic therapy, you know, physical therapy, just regular like swimming, sometimes in a group, but like, you know, older folks looking to you know, exercise on a regular basis. That's very, very common. We do have lots of birthday parties. Kids' birthday parties is a very popular use case. Lots of doggy parties. I know in my own pool, I've had scientists testing underwater drones, and there's been weddings and baptisms, and I mean, you name it. There's a tremendous amount of diversity as to the reason why people want to book a pool. It's not necessarily about getting wet. Very often it's about the space, it's about the outdoor, component for a barbecue, or, for a family graduation, or, lots of birthdays, as I mentioned before. So it's really it's wide open. But again, the primary use case are families. So it's like a parent or two parents and, some children. That's the most common use case.
So what would you suggest some systems that homeowners put in place, all right, so that they can not only maximize their return on investment using Swimply, all right, but to ensure the safety of the guests, and to ensure that their property is being respected and well maintained by the guests?
Sure. The first thing is, I'd say we have something called multi-dip. Multi-dip is like a function that allows people, like regulars, to come to your pool. Like I have someone in my pool comes twice a week to exercise, right? We got to know each other, right? The multi-dip, it lowers the pricing if they're booking on a more regular basis. These are people that they're regulars, right? And that's like, the most comfortable type of booking, right? So you're like, no surprises. It's the easiest way to have built-in recurring revenue that's predictable and comes with the least amount of potential headaches. The next thing you want to do is you really want to think about, number one, if you're a neighbor, if you have neighbors, you're living close to other people, you want to limit potentially the amount of bookings, the number of people allowed at your bookings, right? So you don't want to have 30, 40 people come, because then you'll have 5, 10 cars. Or maybe you want to tell people you can have maximum 10 people, 12 people, whatever the number is, but you can only bring 1 or 2 cars. Like you could set all these parameters. You want to, like, carefully during the onboarding process, make sure that you're setting the rules that you're comfortable with. And then if over time you want to relax those rules, that makes sense, but start with a little bit more strict, I would say, just to make sure. And then if you want to maximize the revenue, then there's a couple of things you want to do. First of all, is you want to make sure your photography is good. Take a few minutes and actually take some time to take pictures. I mean, that's going to be one of the most important drivers of growth and revenue. And then you definitely want to offer bathroom access. That's going to make all the difference. If you have an outdoor bathroom, then great, it's easy. If you don't, then try to find often an adjacent bathroom. Like I have like a den that's adjacent to the pool area. I dedicate that bathroom exclusively for Swimply guests. It's cleaned regularly, and that bathroom allows people to stay more than an hour, right? If you're renting a pool that doesn't have a bathroom, no one's going to stay more than an hour, maybe 2 hours, and then definitely not going to bring more than 1 or 2 people with them. Right, so you'll get small bookings, you'll make some money, but you won't make the real money without offering bathroom access. So that's just a suggestion. We have hosts who are renting beautiful high-end porta potties for $80 a month or something like that, because they're generating so much revenue. It makes sense. And then last thing is responsiveness. That's I'd say probably the single biggest indicator of success on the platform is how quickly you respond to people when they message you, when they reach out to you, just like any other platform. If you're responsive, you'll get bookings, without a doubt.
Great. All right. I have just a couple more questions, and they mainly pertain to like in-ground, above-ground pools. Who qualifies to be able to use Swimply?
Sure. So I'll start with what's not included. We are not yet accepting commercial properties, right? We have a long wait list of commercial properties, so hotels or multifamily housing. Those are great, and maybe one day in the next year or so we will turn that on. For now, it's just exclusively private property, and of course, in-ground pools are most popular. And they're more expensive. We do have plenty of above-ground pools, especially ones that are built into some sort of deck. Those are very successful as well. We even started allowing some hot tubs on, just for people, especially in colder areas. So we've got some of those going on too, but we're not yet just allowing any hot tub, but it depends on the hot tub and where it's located. So I'd say that yes, above ground is going to be higher priced, but I'm sorry, in ground higher priced. and above ground will get lower price, will command a lower price, but you can still get plenty of bookings at above ground pools. In fact, some of the states, above ground are more popular than in ground. Maybe it's just a matter of availability, but I'd say that's the biggest thing to know.
Okay. What are some of the lessons that you guys learned from your soft launch and your hard launch? I mean, you said that, you had some stumbling points, some setbacks. What were some of the things that you learned that helped you refine the product?
Sure. I mean, there's a lot. Give me 1 second. Let me just shut off my. Yeah, sorry. Do you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay, great. We learned a lot of things. I mean, the first thing I covered a few of the things that we learned. One of them I just mentioned was we didn't know who was using the platform, right? We did not know what they wanted. And what we learned was that there's really two different types of users. There's the user who's looking for just an escape, a local escape. And that's like the families, et cetera. Then you have users looking for events. So we had event-based bookings and whim-based bookings, we called it. People who want like just to hop in a pool in the next hour. And people want to plan a birthday party 3 months from now. Right. So it's two completely different types of users, and they need the two different types of experiences. How do you build a platform that can accommodate both? I think that was one of the biggest things that we learned, that the use cases are so diverse, right? And therefore we need to build our product to accommodate as best as we can. That was a big one. Pricing was a big one too. People have no idea how to price a pool because it's never been done before. When it came to Airbnb, there's a relative comparison you can make to a hotel room, right? A hotel room costs $200-300 a night. You start there, right? But when it came to pools, we had people who were pricing pools in 2019 that summer for like $300 an hour, and they're like, "There's no one's going to pay you that." And then we had people pricing their pools at $15 an hour. They were getting ridiculous amounts of bookings, but they were not optimizing, right? So that's something that we learned a lot about as well, how to price a pool properly. And we built algorithms around, smart pricing and helping hosts figure out what the best price is based on their location, based on the amenities, et cetera. So I think those are some of the biggest learnings.
I'm positive that not enough people actually even know this thing exists,
Yeah, that's for sure true. Word is getting out, but not as fast as it can. And this is in a way really disrupting the whole aquatic industries as far as we see. We're partnered with or in talks with, I'd say, most of the major companies in the aquatic ecosystem, because the industry, as you know, I'm sure, faces some pretty considerable challenges, and it's been this way for many years. Number one, there has been no innovation, right? Maybe a little bit on the hardware side, things have improved, but software, almost no innovation the last 100 years. I know that my pool still gets cleaned once a week by, a pool maintenance guy with his truck who pulls up here, and it's cash and checks and, pink slips and all that. And it's like, come on, there's got to be a better way to do this, right?
Yeah, I mean, some of these guys, they're more forward thinking. I talk with a lot of different people in the industry, so I get all different spectrums. Like, some of these guys are very tech savvy, so tech savvy that they build their own website, they run their own marketing, they're wearing a million hats, and
right.
They get it, like these guys will do before and after photo on every visit. They'll do e-tickets, they have a CRM system. These guys are very, very savvy. And then there's other guys that, they do hand drawings when they go to build a pool, and it's written on a cocktail napkin, and they show up with, a t-shirt and a sandal, It's all mixed in this industry, so you get all different parts of it. But I definitely understand where you're coming from.
Totally. And I think, just to take that one step further, we see ourselves as potentially, or already actually, injecting a layer of technology innovation into the entire ecosystem, which will allow for a lot of changes to be made, right? So first of all, we see this as a fundamental issue that when it comes to pool owners, because it's a very depreciating asset, it costs you thousands of dollars a year to maintain, and you're only using maybe 10-15% of its available time. Hosts or homeowners are very, very hesitant to spend money on their pools, and that in turn affects the entire industry, right? Now, what we're doing is sort of reducing or removing entirely the financial anxiety of pool ownership, right? And what I know for myself, again, personally speaking, is I've invested at least $10,000 into my own pool and or backyard because, hey, I'm making money on this thing. Let me reinvest. Now, all that money goes back into the system, right? And will for sure have a major impact
on the broader aquatic, ecosystem. So I think that's what we're trying to accomplish here. And I think it's already happening, but to a small degree. And as we continue to grow, I think we'll see the sort of chain reaction results from having a lot more homeowners, pool owners that are turning a profit from their pool. That's going to change things for the whole industry. So we're excited to see that happen.